I figured it was about time for an update video. Let you guys know, anybody who cares, what I'm going to be doing for the next while. So I'm going to be away from my computer, away from home, away from an internet connection. Probably, I'm not sure about that. That really depends. For the next 2 weeks, I leave the day after tomorrow, Saturday, and I will be actually in Juneau. I'm going to be teaching a science summer camps. I'm going to be. It's kind of funny. This is actually for Decojuicer. This is my actual title is lead scientist or head scientist. By the way, just I laughed my ass off when I got the contract. They call. I didn't suggest it. They said you'll be head scientist on the project, and I was like, hey, I am head scientist. There's a long joke in that I'm not going to get into now. So, as head scientist, but what am I going to be doing? I thought this would be worth talking to you guys about. Now, anybody who chats with me on Skype or I chat with in the real world or whatever's, or I see on blog TVs, I'm periodically checking in and then having to go to get back to work. It's not just some excuse. That's not a euphemism for fapping or anything like that. Not usually. But what I mean is I have been immersed myself in flora of Alaska, Holtane. I have been absolutely buried in botanical studies. Now, I'm an invertebrate zoologist. I'm not a botanist. But the summer camps I'm teaching, now last year I taught a marine science summer camp. This is a similar, although it's similar in some ways. It differs dramatically in some other ways. A lot of the same people are involved in the creation of these summer camps. But this one is going to be mostly terrestrial. So it's going to be the terrestrial animals and plants as opposed to the marine animals and plants. Now I'm a whole lot more comfortable with the marine invertebrates, marine invertebrate zoology being my focus of my studies. But I'm not a slouch when it comes to the plants. I'm not terrible about it. I have forced myself to learn a whole lot about the plants, animals, and fungi of the land. So what I'm going to be doing now, this is what I've been working on, though. I'm not just reading botany books trying to memorize things. Although I am doing that as well. What I've been working on for the last almost a year now, I think. Well, 9 months about that. I'll say 9 months. Is working with one of the Alaskan Native corporations in developing a science curriculum. And so just what this is a supplement to existing state of Alaska high school science curriculum. All states have they have a set of goals in all of their different reading and writing and arithmetic, and this is for the science things. They have the goals and outcomes and what they require, what the state requires, and then also within that are the classes that teach and how each of those classes reach the goals that they have set. And Alaska has been really doing pretty well in science, surprisingly enough. You wouldn't think the state that brought you Sarah Palin, but we do. We actually have a pretty good. There's some amazing people that work in our science curriculum. I mean, for the state, people that I just have to bow down to as amazing, very, very hardcore scientists, very knowledgeable on education and science and how the two come together, and that's fantastic. And we do, surprisingly enough, we do. Some of the kids coming out of our school system are more than prepared for college just about anywhere that they want to go to, and that's a great thing. Like I said, you wouldn't guess it given some of the other things our state has done budget wise with education. But that sciences have been pretty solid. But what my part is that I'm working with the Native corporations with a Native corporation specifically, to supplement the science curriculum with science as delivered by Native elders, meaning that the scientific facts and truths, it's called traditional ecological knowledge, things like migrations of animals and seasons of plants, how different plants and animals fit together in an ecosystem, stuff that as a scientist you might study, but traditionally a lot of Alaskan Native peoples, all of, I guess in some ways or another, have really studied this stuff for thousands of years, in that it's embedded in their songs and in their dances and in their myths and their storytelling. This kind of knowledge about the land and ecology is really, really closely tied to it. And so what I've been doing is looking at stories, talking to elders and hearing the stories, or hearing the songs, and looking at it and saying, well, you know, that sounds a whole lot, this story about a salmon stream, you know, about the salmon people and the migrations of the salmon people, sounds a whole lot like this study that was done in Washington State about nutrient depletion in a stream and how that caused the salmon population to crash. Meaning there are, you know, and how to put this without sounding, that these stories contain valuable scientific information, probably information that was gained through, you know, very, very hardcore trial and error. You know, we did this and our people starved to death. So then people repeat this, you know, next, you know, people who remembered these lessons say, well, don't do that again. And it's worked into their myths and their stories. And over thousands of years, you can imagine a great deal of information is built up. Very practical information that translates very, very well within the scientific disciplines of ecology. And so I've been going through these stories and hearing them, and then so I'm doing science lessons that are where there's a story told, and then there's the science that story is, you know, the chemistry behind it or the biology behind the story is talked about and discussed, in the framework that it's delivering to all students. I mean, this isn't just being delivered to the Native students, but in particular for the Native students, the message is your people. You know, here's what your people have known, and here's what science. Here's what we as scientists are now learning about what you people have already known, and then here's more to it. You know, here's the rest of it. Here's the chemistry. Now, obviously, you can imagine traditional people didn't know about the actual chemistry. They may have known the functional aspects of how some of this worked out. Things like that, if that makes sense. And it's turning out some just beautiful mixes of science lessons and lectures, with elders speaking and telling stories, and then real field work. And the summer camps are being taught in a traditional Tlingit, one of the tribes. It's being taught around the fire pit. It's being taught like that. And then I'm presenting with the elders. I'm presenting the science behind what the elders are talking about and why it's valid science. Okay, I'm sorry. I rambled on long enough. I'm going to stop this. I'm going to show you guys something really, really interesting I saw just today while I was eating lunch. I watched Forensics Files, and I saw something really, really interesting and funny, and I think you guys might appreciate it. So take care. So take a look at this man, and tell me if he reminds you of anybody. Here's another picture, maybe better. Now, does this guy look like anybody that we know here on YouTube? Is there anybody past or present on YouTube that this guy might look like? Anybody? Well, okay. I think he looks a whole lot like this guy, our own Raven Gage Smith. Here's the two of them together. Now I'll tell you who the first man really was. His name is Charles Barbee. He was a member of a anti-Semitic group called the Phineas Priesthood. I saw him on Forensics Files. Him and two other men were arrested for, amongst other things, pipe bombing an abortion clinic. And anyway, when they first showed the guy's face, I was like, holy shit, that looks like Raven Gage Smith to me. So anyway, thought I'd put it out there. I thought it was funny in that creepy kind of way. Let me know if I'm way off, or do you guys think is there a resemblance, or is it just me? All right, take care.